Joining me now is commentator Samara Gill and Corp Columnist Angela Mollard. Angela, this interview Harry has done with the BBC, I feel like it raises more questions than provides answers. Which were the comments which really stood out to you?
Oh, so many, Caroline. And I think actually the nature of the interview surprised me in and of itself. The fact that he did it so quickly after that Court of Appeal security judgment. There was no taking stock. There was no time to think whether or not this was something that was wise to do. My understanding is that he reached out to the BBC, his people did. They hadn't asked him initially. He reached out. He wanted to do this interview and he had messages he wanted to say. He wanted to say that he wasn't in touch with his father. He wanted to say he didn't know how long his father had left to live. Now, of course, that's an alarming thing when the monarchy depends on stability. For his son to go and say that is deeply concerning. He, of course, as you said that it was the security issue was in an establishment stitch-up. But the thing that really struck me was when he said that if anything were to happen to him because he had been denied security, then blood would effectively be on the hands of the royal family. How do you then, in the next sentence, say, I want reconciliation with my family? I just found this interview deeply alarming. I found it affecting in parts. You know, Harry is still a little boy who has tremendous trauma at the heart of who he is, but it's delusional in so many ways as well. I thought that I'd seen everything with the royal family. You know, I lived in London in the 90s. And Diana's interview, Charles in the Dimbleby interview, Prince Andrew, but this one had so many layers to it that were really concerning.
And Samara, like Angela just said, obviously it was right after the judgment and the loss of that appeal to the Home Office. But why now? And what's the actual purpose, do you think?
I mean, that man does not have a good direction when it really comes to anything. I mean, even just giving the interview to the BBC was a really weird choice, considering the part the BBC played in Diana's death, to be honest, because Martin Bashir, obviously we know there was a lot of cover-ups that happened around the time of the interview when she gave it to him. He made her very paranoid about her staff, which she then dismissed. And I'm not trying to put two and two together, but, you know, they don't have a great record in terms of his history. So it's weird that he chose them. And you're right. I mean, the timing of it was strange too. 3 hours after the appeal came back, he probably hopped into a car and went and did this interview to them. I mean, he's a husk of a man. What I can see about it is that Meghan is behind a lot of this. It doesn't even sound like him. There's a lot of woke LA language being flung around. There's a lot of paranoia. And as you alluded to in your intro, there's this cognitive dissonance between what Meghan is trying to push publicly about their happy life in Montecito, their happy marriage with the kids, and how Harry appeared on that devastating interview. And I agree. I mean, to say to the king in his last years, oh, blood is on your hands, effectively, it's egregious. It's unforgivable.
And Angela, then Meghan goes and does this podcast with Jamie Kern-Lena, and it appears that she just has this total different view of where the Sussexes are at. No doubt she saw the BBC into what you would imagine she'd seen the BBC interview. I just found that extraordinary.
It was highly incongruous, and she is living in La La Land. Look, I couldn't even watch all of this interview. This was nauseating. Honestly, it is so it's so full of adjectives. It was inspiring. They're enchanting. You know, this is amazing. The way these two women spoke, I don't know what the takeouts were for anybody, frankly. But what I think is that Harry is speaking his truth, which is that he's a very dejected and traumatized human being, and Meghan is projecting her truth. She knows that her brand has to run on positivity and optimism. So she's just telling a different story. She is a brand. She's an actress. We know that she can project whatever she wants to. And so, you know, it's all about how much Harry loves her and how happy they are. But how can two stories that are so disparate run in alignment? And what I come down to is I think that Harry is a damaged person, and damaged people cause damage. He has no understanding of how to, from his family life, and neither does Meghan, of how to actually build strong relationships. And I think the two of them actually need to sit down quietly with a therapist and work through some of the issues that they have as individuals so that they can have a secure marriage for the future. Look, I don't like to speculate on anybody's marriage, but you can't see two interviews back to back like this and wonder that something behind the scenes isn't going on.
And I think that's the point, isn't it, Samara? Like, I think we've always thought that things were a little bit out of kilter with the Sussexes, but it appears that Harry is really struggling with where he's at and where he fits in.
I think Angela's totally right. I think that there is a lot of disjointed behavior going on behind the scenes. I mean, we know that Harry wasn't even in Montecito for Archie's 6th birthday party this week. He was in Vegas launching some random project that no one's ever heard of. So if you're not even there for your son's birthday party, you're clearly very tapped out of the family. And that just is kind of the cherry on top for this week. You know, you've got Meghan, who's trying to push this completely different brand of happy families and, you know, let's all hold hands and jump around in a circle. And Harry is clearly not okay. And I agree, Harry probably needs to seek some sort of therapist to help him with whatever issues he's going through, because I don't think Meghan's going to help him. She's in her complete own world.
Now, let's go back to where it all started and this video that Prince Harry shared 5 years ago after Megxit.
We are on the Freedom Flight. We are leaving Canada and we are headed to Los Angeles.
Grandma's here. Brutus here with a ball in her mouth.
Why'd you say hi? You're about to go on Mommy's.
So busy with the current situation, thanks to another amazing friend who we've never met, but who believes in us and wants to help.
Angela, it's almost that meme of how it started and how it's going. The expectation versus the eventual reality just appears worlds apart.
I actually find it really sad watching that, because Harry's so hopeful. He wants so much from this freedom flight. He's leaving the royal family. You know, this is his birthright. But if you think about it, Meghan got everything she wanted. She got the husband, she got the children, she got the HRH, which, you know, we can talk about a little bit later. But she got everything that allowed her to rise up and be of global, you know, to have that global recognition that we know how badly she wanted that. Harry, what has Harry got? Harry is marooned in California. He can't really come back to the UK very easily. He really hasn't kept up with his friendships there. And everything that Harry was, if you remember, he was actually a brilliant member of the royal family. He was engaging, he was real, he had one foot in real life and one foot in royal life. And people related to him. He used to be the most popular member of the royal family. And here he is at 40 with, you know, let's say he lives to his 80s, whatever, you know, he's got half his life still ahead of him. What is that life going to stand for? And I hope that we will be seeing a video in 10 years like the Finding Freedom one, where we're looking at him and going, yeah, it's going well for you now. We're really happy for you, but I really can't see it.
Now, Samara, talking about that HRH, recently Meghan was caught out using her HRH title despite agreeing not to. So what's the story here and what's been the reaction?
Well, this woman is the definition of, I want to have my cake and eat it too, genuinely. I mean, the Brits don't want Harry and Meghan to have their titles, let alone pay for their private security. So that's how that's going with them. She has been using this HRH left, right and centre since she left the royal family, trashed them, said that they were racist, said that the firm was basically holding her hostage and that it was the worst thing ever. But yes, she continues to use this. She had a letter that she addressed to Jamie Lee Curran, and she said, you could see on the lettering that she's used it. So she's with this sort of pathetic little crown at the top of it. And you can see that within her circles, because Hollywood has really had enough of her. She is trying to hold on to whatever scrap of legitimacy that she can use to kind of get a few more friends that aren't on the payroll. And it's not working. And honestly, it was the Queen's last wish for them to not be using the HRH for commercial purposes.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And look where it all is now. Thank you, Angela Mollard and Samara Gill.